pear tree switch, not the broomstick, nor the closest extension cord, not his braided belt, but God, bless the back of my daddy's hand, which, holding nothing tightly against me and not wrapped in leather, eliminated the air between itself and my cheek. Make full this dimpled cheek, unworthy of its unfisted print, and forgive my forgetting the love of a hand hungry for reflex, a hand that took no thought of its target like hail from a blind sky, involuntary, fast, but brutal in its bruising. Father, I bear the bridge of what might have been a broken nose. I lift to you what was a busted lip. Bless the boy who believes his best beings lack intention, the mark of the beast. Bring back to life the son who glories in the sin of immediacy, calling it love. God, save the man whose arm, like an angel's invisible wing, may fly backward in fury, whether or not his son stands near. Help me hold in place my blazing jaw as I think to say, excuse me. Unplugged the TV when it rained. They hid money in mattresses, so to sleep on decisions. Some of their children were not their children. Some of their parents had no birth dates. They could sweat a cold out of you. They'd wake without an alarm telling them to. Even the short ones reached certain shelves. Even the skinny cooked animals too quick to catch. And I don't care how ugly one of them arrived. That one got married to somebody fine. They fed families with change and wiped their kitchens clean. Then another century came. People like me forgot their names. Is that Langston Hughes wrote The Negro Speaks of Rivers when he was only 18 years old. Every time I think about that, any poetry anthology you pick up is going to include The Negro Speaks of Rivers, that great and wonderful poem. And every time I think about that, if you don't know that poem, you have to Google it as soon as you leave here. It really is an amazing poem. But every time I think about the fact that Langston Hughes wrote that poem that amazing when he was only 18, every time I think about the fact that Langston Hughes wrote The Negro Speaks of Rivers when he was only 18 years old, I really hate Langston Hughes. Langston's Blues. O blood of the river of songs, O songs of the river of blood, let me lie down. Let my words lie sound in the mouths of men, repeating invocations, pure and perfect as a moan that mounts in the mouth of Bessie Smith. Blues for the angels kicked out of heaven. Blues for the angels who miss them still. Blues for my people and what water they know. Oh, weary drinkers drinking from the bloody river. Why go to heaven with Harlem so close? Why sing of rivers with fathers of our own to miss? I remember mine and taste a Spain like blood coursing the body of a man chased by a mob. I write his running, his sweat. Here he climbs a poplar for the sky, but it is only sky. The river, follow me, you'll see. We tried to fly and learned we couldn't swim. Dear singing river, full of my blood, are we as loud under water? Is it blood that binds brothers, or is it the Mississippi running through the fattest vein of America. When I say home, I mean I wanted to write some lines. I wanted to hear the blues, but here I am, swimming the river again. What runs through the fat veins of a drowned body? What America can a body call home? When I say Congo, I mean blood. When I say Nile, I mean blood. When I say Euphrates, I mean, if only you knew what blood we have in common. So much in Louisiana, they call a man like me red. And red was too dark for my daddy, and my daddy was too dark for America. He ran like a man from my mother and me, and my mother's sobs are the songs of Bessie Smith, who wears more feathers than death. Oh, the death my people refuse to die. When I was 18, I wrote down the river, though I couldn't win a race, climbed a tree that winter, then fell flat on my wet, red face. Line after line, I read all the time, but there was nothing I could do about race. Track 5, Summertime, as performed by Janis Joplin. God's got his eye on me, but I ain't a sparrow. I'm more like a lawnmower. No, a chainsaw. Anything that might mangle each manicured lawn in Port Arthur, a place I wouldn't return to if the mayor offered me every ounce of oil my daddy cans at the refinery. My voice, I mean, ain't sweet. Nothing nice about it. It won't fly, even with Jesus watching. I don't believe in Jesus. The Baxter boys climbed a tree just to throw persimmons at me. The good and perfect gifts from above hit like lightning, leave bruises. So I lied. I believe, but I don't think God likes me. The girls in the locker room slapped dirty pads across my face. They called me bitch, but I never bit back. I ain't a dog. Chainsaw, I say. My voice hacks at you. I bet I tear my throat. I try so hard to sound jagged. I get high and say one thing so many times, like Willie Baker, who worked across the street. I saw some kids whip him with a belt while he repeated, please. School out, summertime and the living lashed. Mama said I should be thankful that the town's worse to coloreds than they are to me, that I grow out of my acne. God must love Willie Baker. All that leather and still a please that sounds like music. See, I wouldn't know a sparrow from a mockingbird. The band plays, I just belt out, please. This tune ain't half the blues. I should be thankful. I get high and moan like a lawnmower so nobody notices. I'm such an ugly girl. I'm such an ugly girl. I try to sing like a man. Boys call boy. I turn my face to God. I pray. I wish I could pour oil on everything green in Port Arthur. Homeland. I knew I had jet lag because no one would make love to me. All the men thought me a vampire. All the women were women. In America that year, black people kept dreaming that the president got shot. Then the president got shot, breaking into the White House. He claimed to have lost his keys. What's the proper name for a man caught stealing into his own home? I asked a few passengers. They replied, Jigger. After that, I took the red eye. I took to a sigh, deep as the end of a day in the dark fields below us. Some slept, but nobody named security ever believes me. Confiscated my tripler, my Celexa, my cortisone, my Clonidine, my Flexeril, my Zyrtec, my Nazarel, my Percocet, my Ambien. Nobody in this nation feels safe, and I'm still a reason why. Every day, something gets thrown away on account of long history, or hair, or fingernails, or yes, of course, my fangs. Say the shame I see inching like steam along these streets will never seep beneath the doors of this bedroom. And if it does, if we dare to breathe, tell me that though the world ends us, lover, it cannot end our love of narrative. Don't you have a story for me, like the one you tell with fingers over my lips to keep me from sighing when, before the queen is kidnapped, the prince bows to the enemy, handing over the horn of his favorite unicorn, like those men brought, bought, and whipped until they accepted their master's names. A too long list of people that includes Tyrone White and Jesus Huerta and Sandra Bland. I do wish that that list of names was that short, but it goes on and on. It's funny how you go looking stuff up and you find out things are even worse than what you imagine. Bullet points. I will not shoot myself in the head, and I will not shoot myself in the back, and I will not hang myself with a trash bag, and if I do, I promise you, I will not do it in a police car while handcuffed, or in the jail cell of a town I only know the name of because I have to drive through it to get home. Yes, I may be at risk, but I promise you, I trust the maggots and the ants and the cockroaches who live beneath the floorboards of my house to do what they must to any carcass, more than I trust an officer of the law of the land to shut my eyes like a man of God might, or to cover me with a sheet so clean my mother could have used it to tuck me in. When I kill me, I will kill me, the same way most Americans do. I promise you, cigarette smoke, or a piece of meat on which I choke, or so broke I freeze in one of these winters we keep calling worst. I promise that if you hear of me dead anywhere near a cop, then that cop killed me. He took me from us and left my body, which is, no matter what we've been taught, greater than what a city can pay a mother to stop crying, and more beautiful than the brand new shiny bullet fished from the folds of my brain. I don't want to hurt a man, but I like to hear one beg. 2 people touch twice a month in 10 hotels, and we call it long distance. He holds down one coast, I wander the other, like any African American. Africa with its condition, and America with its condition, and black folk born in this nation content to carry half of each. I shoulder my share. My man flies to touch me. Sky on our side. Sky above his world I wish to write, which is where I go wrong. Words are a sense of sound. I get smart. My mother shakes her head. My grandmother sighs. He ain't got no sense. My grandmother is dead. She lives with me. I hear my mother shake her head over the phone. Somebody cut the cord. We have a long distance relationship. I lost half of her to a stroke. God gives to each a body. God gives everybody its pains. When pain mounts in my body, I try thinking of my white forefathers who hurt their black bastards quite legally. I hate to say it, but one pain can ease another. Doctors rather I take pills. My man wants me to see a doctor. What are you when you leave your man wanting? What am I now that I think so fondly of airplanes? What's my name? Whose is it while we make love? My lover leaves me with words I wish to write. Flies from one side of a nation to the outside of our world. I don't want the world. I only want African sense of American sound. Him touching this body, aware of its pains. Greetings, earthlings. My name is slow and stumbling. I come from planet trouble. I am here to love you, uncomfortable. So I'll say, the answer to that question, I'll say this before I answer your question. I have these ideas about poetry. Everybody does, and you're welcome to them. It's actually helpful for you to have ideas about poetry because I think it helps you to write poems. I think it's helpful for you to set up for yourself a poetics, to set up some philosophy of what a poem is and how poems are made and what a poem means. Give it definitions, literal definitions that you actually write down. And when you write those things down, as soon as you write them down, you will find yourself writing poems that sort of break the rules that you have set up. Do you know what I mean? Which is a good thing, which is actually a really good thing. And you can like write down again, okay, well now I want to include this because I really like this poem I wrote. Do you know what I'm saying? And so I have this idea that poems, unlike what people think about poems, they're just not Hallmark cards. I mean, I wish they were, because if they were, they would be a lot easier for me to write, but they're not Hallmark cards. They're not all love, they're not all gush, they're not all happiness, they're not all I'm sorry for your loss. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Poems actually do something to capture what it means to be human.